All right, everybody, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today on the Red Pill Investor podcast, as well as my YouTube channel at Sell More Homes Now. If you're watching me via YouTube at Sell More Homes Now, then I would encourage you to go check out my podcast at theredpillinvestor.com. You'll find scripts, you'll find skills, you'll find well over 500 podcasts devoted to helping you build your sales skills to help you become more efficient and effective in the times that you do have. Also, if you're joining us from the Red Pill Investor podcast over there on iTunes or Stitcher, please do me a favor, share a little like or review. It certainly helps spread the word on the podcast. And then I would also encourage you to come on over and visit the channel at Sell More Homes Now, because you'll discover about 160 videos or more of sales skills devoted towards realtors and homeowners, things, really just a cornucopia of skills, if you will. So today what we're going to talk about in episode number 502, 502 is 3 mistakes in real estate investing that make you look dumb. 3 mistakes that you make in real estate investing that make you look dumb, right? Now listen, every single spring, okay? Every spring, there's new realtors in classes, there's new investors just flocking to guru training in all the hotels, wherever they may be. And you know, these seminars, these books, these classes, and gurus, you know, they seldom tell you all the things that really you need to know that inadvertently cripple your ability to be successful, your success pattern, if you will. It's not like they mean to. It's not like they're out there trying to just get your money and leave you helpless and stranded on the side of the road. No, it's just that's the way it works out, because it's easier to sell you and teach you on how to mail a postcard or run an Instagram ad or become one with the influencer in your marketplace. It's just a lot easier to tell you that than to specifically address how to talk to people and how to get across certain concepts so that you don't look like a friggin' idiot when you're in the field, right? You see, the mindset here is simply this, that you know, if you throw more money at lead generation, okay, and hope that you overcome your deficiencies, your own inadequacies, okay, by adding more leads. That's kind of the mindset that's swirling around in some of these people's head. Swear to God, that's what's going on. Tell me if I'm wrong. See, the reality is you keep hearing, and maybe you hear or believe yourself, I don't know, but you keep hearing in the streets that you need to throw more money at lead generation, more money at Facebook ads, more money at Instagram, more money on your mailing, and every single penny you get, you should reinvest more of that into more marketing so you get more leads. That's just what I've been hearing. Let me just toss this thought into your brain and let it see if it simmers around and resonates with you, right? If you're no good from the get-go and you keep tossing leads at you and you have bad habits and you don't know what to say and you sound like a fool, how are you going to get any better other than by massive rejection, massive amounts of leads coming to you so you can learn by getting better? And if you're paying for this, you know, these leads, it's costing you money to generate these leads. So in other words, you're paying for your education with leads that could make you money if you only knew what to say and what to do. That is the problem. See, you're spending money. And meanwhile, these 3 mistakes in real estate investing that you're doing, okay, are killing your business unbeknownst to you. You don't even know it. It's like the sand sweeping in and out every day. It's just like the tide coming in and out, taking the sand, just the foundation away from your house. Just this tide comes in the night, takes away some sand, takes it right away. And then it comes back in the morning, takes a little bit more sand away from your foundation, takes it away again. And you keep putting more sand down there, thinking that your foundation, your business is going to get better. And that's not going to happen. It's not going to work. You're going to run out of money. You're going to run out of time. And you're going to run out of energy. It's happened. That's why 8 out of 10 people fail. That's not a secret. Now that we know what the problem is, how or what are these 3 problems that we need to be aware of, right? If the problem is not the money, what are the 3 problems that are killing our business? Well, okay, here it is. Problem 1. Number 1, you're not being responsive enough. You're not. You're not being responsive enough. Look, if I called you right now, and look, let's just be honest, okay? You, me, and YouTube. You, me, and the podcast. We're all in the car together. We're sitting there in your office, wherever you're listening to this, and I promise you, look at the comments, look at the views. Nobody else is watching this channel. Nobody else is listening to this podcast. It's just you and me, okay? I spend my time here with you to help you because you listen. If you're willing to listen, I'm willing to put out the information. So let's just reason together. Let's just think this through, right? If I called you on one of your transactions, on a listing or a buyer or a sale or a flip or whatever you've got, if I called you right now and I said, hey, I have a problem. I need you to tell me about this house. I need you to tell me about this or tell me about that, or I have this problem, let's fix it, or I'm in the middle of a transaction with you and I call you, chances are you're not going to pick up. It's going to go right to voicemail, and that's just the way it works. That's one of the biggest things that makes you look stupid in this game. It really is. If you say that you're a real estate agent or a real estate broker or a real estate investor and you're out there looking to buy homes or help people in the process of buying and selling real estate or listing homes or whatever your function in the real estate game is, and when people call you, they can't reach you, well, that just makes you look dumb. Now, I get it. We all are human. Okay, look, nobody is saying that if I called you one time out of the blue and you didn't pick up, well, screw you, I'm going to go find somebody else. But there are buyers and sellers who do that. Just keep that in mind, right? I'm not saying that. But there is a consistent lack of ability to follow up and call back and respond to people in this business. It's prevalent. It's virulent. That's the only word I can think of to describe the rampant ability of people to fail to follow up and fail to be responsive to the agents, to the buyers, to the sellers, to the customers and clients that you have. And you know it. That's why this podcast, that's why this channel isn't always loved, it doesn't have 40,000 views on it, is because I tell sometimes the things that maybe aren't necessarily agreeable. And plus, I'm not exactly enjoyable to listen to. I get it. But when you think about it, okay, that's not important. The point is, I'm telling you a hard truth. The hard truth is that on your transactions, you know and I know that you could be better at being responsive. And if you were more responsive with the leads you got in, okay, you'd have a better chance to convert those leads, and then you'd have more money. You wouldn't have to spend all the money in the world to try and get more leads. You'd be able to go ahead and convert the ones you had simply because you were the first one who picked up the phone. Most of the time, the reason why you win a deal is not because you're the best, not because you're the cheapest, not because you offer the most services, but because you're the one who showed up. That's the truth. Let's move over. I know that was a little bit hard. I'm going to move on, right? I wrote down, in the beginning, they call their competitors. Okay? In the beginning, they call your competitors. If they can't reach you, then they're going to call me. They're going to call somebody else. They're going to call the next guy and the next guy and the next girl and whoever else picks up the phone. If you won't pick up the phone and answer the phone, they'll find somebody who will. And in the middle of a transaction, they're going to call you, right? They're not going to call the other agents. They're not going to call escrow. They're going to call you, and they're asking you for information. And at the end, okay, guess who they're calling if things didn't go well? They're calling their attorneys. It's all a question of who you want them to call. You want them to call your competitors? You want them to call you? Do you want them to call your attorneys? Who do you want them to call? In my preference, I prefer them to call me. I'll pick up the phone, I'll text them, whatever it is. But you've got to make sure you're responsive to your clients. If you want to make more money, if you want to stop this bleeding, this incessant tide taking the foundations of your business away, then start with point number 1 and become more responsive. Point number 2. The second reason why you're not making the money you want to make, the second critical issue that you're facing is not knowing the market. I don't know how else to say it. It's not knowing the market. You know, if you want to look like an idiot when it comes to real estate, don't know the market. That'll help you fast, flickety-fast, right? If you want to learn how to look like an idiot in front of your peers and in front of the other investors and in front of realtors and in front of the buyers and the sellers and everybody else, then don't know what the market's doing. Because what's going to happen, okay, and let's just get this straight. Regardless if you're an investing realtor or just straight an investor or even a realtor looking to take a listing, okay? Not knowing the market can get super expensive when it comes to losing deals. Think about all the time, money, and energy you spent trying to generate this deal in the first place. And when you generated the deal, okay, then you gave them a bid and an offer or a listing price or whatever, and you didn't know what the market was doing. You overpriced, you underpriced. Maybe, right? Maybe you weren't very good at the repairs. Maybe you didn't know how much it was going to cost. Maybe you're not aware that the current style isn't that style anymore. You know, there's certain places I was talking to a person up in Scottsdale just the other day, and they were mentioning how a particular style of home was no longer in vogue, right? And it was actually something else now. And that even as just short as 4 years ago, there was this type of home and it was great and it was perfect. But nowadays, forget it. People won't even touch it now, right? Not knowing the market can cost you. Here's a question I wrote down. How many deals can you afford to lose because of your ignorance? I mean, let's just really get down to the brass tacks of this. If I was going to coach you and we were talking every week and we were sitting down trying to figure out what was going to be the best thing for your business to move forward, okay? One of the key things I think I would probably want to know is how well do you know your market? Do you spend time going out and trying to figure out what's going on in the market? Or are you of the mindset that says, you know what, it's easier for me to keep throwing money into Facebook ads and Insta? Which is easier? Is it easier for you to go out and spend more money, or is it easier for you to go out and learn the market you're in so that you can go ahead and convert a deal easily? Simply because you know stuff that other people don't know. You know, for example, okay? If you're looking on the multiple listing service, this isn't even in my notes. This is just something I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head. I hope that this is okay. But when you think about it, if you're looking on the multiple listing service, if you're an investing realtor, okay, there's a lot of a lot of investors out there who will tell you that, oh, there's no deals on the multiple listing service. Whatever, right? look, let's just be clear, okay? There are plenty of good deals to be found on the multiple listing service, especially if you create them, right? I mean, who pays full price? Especially if you create the deal. Now, when you think about it, if you're looking on the multiple listing service, and I'm just, again, right off the head spitballing here, but if you're whipping through the multiple listing service, trying to find a wholesale deal, okay, what are you looking for? In my mind, I'm looking for motivation and mistakes. I'm looking for the motivation of the seller. Is it an estate sale? Is it a divorce? Is it a behind the taxes? I mean, what's the situation? Is it a REO, a short sale? What's causing this sale, right? And then what are the mistakes that the listing agent made? Because every single person out there tends to think, okay, that they're the best, and me too, I'm guilty, right? We all think we're the best realtor since the first realtor was made. We're the best realtor of all time. I mean, we may not sell the most, but we care the most. We always worry about the paperwork. We're the most diligent. We're the smartest. Whatever your thing is, right? We all think that. But I guaranteed you, if I go in your MLS right now, you're going to find some person in there who's too fast, who's trying to get the money, who's trying to get it in MLS as quickly as they can with a snap picture from their iPhone, and guaranteed that there's a mistake in there somewhere, right? They made a mistake in the zoning. Maybe you can put an extra home on there, or an extra guest house on there. Maybe you can expand the lot. Maybe you can go ahead and add a guest house. Maybe it was a 2-bedroom down by the university, and it had an R2 lot. It was extra big, and that agent didn't even think about it. And gosh, now you realize that, holy cow, they're selling this place, but they don't even realize you could put an extra bedroom on there and sell this for X more. Holy cow, that's a deal. And you'd never have the ability to do that, okay, if you didn't go out and know what the market had to produce in the first place. You have got to know the market. I could go on for another 20 minutes on this topic. I mean, when you think about it, going on the market itself, just by previewing the properties out there itself on the multiple listing service, if you're a realtor, I highly recommend you take at least once a week and go out and preview property. If you're not a realtor, go out and take a look on the properties on Sunday. But you've got to know the market. You got to know the ins, the outs, the yeses, the nos, the ins, all the different perks of the market. Because it's going to help you identify, as I said, motivation and mistakes that other people make, and you're going to see deals that are just off the side. Grandma decided to stick a sign in the yard that day because her and her husband, they're moving to Florida, and they've had it. And you're driving by, you see the sign, and they haven't even put it in Craigslist. They haven't put it on Zillow, and nobody knows about it because it's the first day, but you know about it because you're there and because you're out there trying to get the market and know what the market's about. Point number 3. Before we get down to point number 3, I wrote down, how do you get the advantage in knowing the market? How do you get the advantage? I wrote down, you're going to know buyer trends, right? Styles of homes, as I mentioned, my friend from Scottsdale, they want finishes that they want to desire. Gentrification, and when you think about area issues, larger area issues, gentrification, improvement zones, wharf areas, water quality areas. Those areas are really important to know about. You don't want to buy something in there. Also, it's important to know about economic trends, right? The opportunity zones that are out, the tax benefits, 1031 exchanges, all of these things that okay, in your head, help put together a clearer picture for your customer or your client. And listen, if you're trying to be competitive in real estate, and I don't give a damn where you are in the game, if you're day one or 25 years in, 45 years in, okay, if you're trying to be competitive in this game, okay, if you're trying to be competitive on price alone, all right, you're not fighting with both hands. You're fighting with one hand tied behind your back. You see, the reality is when you know the market better, you're going to be able to price things better, and you're going to be able to know what buyers are going to be willing to pay. You know that, what you should or shouldn't buy, or what you should or shouldn't list. Point number 3. This is the biggest. And I'm so glad that you stuck in for this one. Tip number 3. The third problem, right? When we're talking about things that make you look like a utter fool, right? Tip number one, the first thing we said that made you look like a fool, okay, was going out and not being responsive. Saying you're in the business, but not taking the calls, not returning calls. The second thing we said was not knowing the market. You say you're in the business, but you don't know what prices are. You don't know what things cost. You don't know how much it costs to repair things. All of these things. The third thing, and probably the most damning thing of all, that will make you look like a complete and utter fool to your colleagues, taking every single deal. Boy, oh boy. Can I get an amen? At least can I get a thumbs up maybe, or a share? Because guys, I'm trying to bust my hump here for you. I'm really trying to give you some good information. And let me tell you, if you're out there and you're trying to make a living and you're trying to get a deal done, trust me, I get it. You want to share the world when you got a deal. But the problem is that if that deal doesn't sell, or you do price reductions and you mass email it out again, right? And then it ultimately doesn't sell, well, it causes you to lose credibility. And it causes you to lose money. Think this through. Okay, it costs you something every time you put something under contract. Now, I hear some of you in your car thinking to yourself, oh, Carl, you've lost your mind. You're crazy. That's not true. Yeah, it is true. And here's why it's true. It costs you time to go ahead and find that lead. Okay? Now, let's say you were just calling on the phone and you weren't spending money on Facebook ads or print ads or radio ads or television or whatever the heck you do, right? Let's just say that it was just taking you time to call this person. Well, that time has value. Maybe it cost you an hour's worth of time to locate this person. Well, then it took you another hour or so to probably figure out the values, right? Probably took you an hour or so to drive back and forth at least. If you're in LA, probably add another hour because of the traffic. But, when you think of traffic, at least an hour for traffic, back out to the property or whatever. Maybe an hour in marketing it if you actually get the property under contract. Okay. And then, when you think about it, at the very minimum, you spent 4 hours of your time. Now, I don't know how much your time is worth. That's a question you've got to ask for yourself. But when you think about it, if it's costing you 4 hours on a transaction that ultimately never closes, and let's say, I don't know, for the sake of argument, your value is only worth $50 an hour. Okay? Because, you got to think big here. If you're no longer in $15 an hour world here, okay? If your dollar an hour average you figure in your head is at the minimum $50 an hour and you're spending 4 hours to secure a listing or a contract for sale and it doesn't sell, well, that's $200. You might as well just write a check for $200 to somebody. Write it to your favorite charity. Hell, write it to me. Right? Every time you decide to take a property that's not going to sell, instead of doing that, send me a check for $200, and that will be your penance. How about that? Other than that, think about how much that money costs you plus your reputation. Because as I said, you're sending out your mass email every time you send something, and chances are, if you aren't responsive, like we mentioned in point number 1, if you're not responsive to your customer, you're not going to be responsive to me as a buyer. If I'm trying to buy your property and you're sending out a mass email to me, and if I see you selling something that's overpriced, because I do respond to my customers and they tell me, gosh, Carl, we saw this house, we liked it or we hated it and we thought because of blah, 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 blah. I know what the market bears. I know what the market will give. And if you go on if you come on the email or however you decide to mass market your property, okay, and you put it out as an overpriced property, if I do this full time, and I do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 23 years, right? Well, then how do you feel I'm not going to know that that's overpriced? I'm going to notice. And if I'm going to notice, everybody in your market's going to notice. Look, you got to think, I'm just like everybody else. And if you're like that, well, then be thoughtful about the way you do things. Right? Think about your end use buyer, because if I see you selling an overpriced property, how seriously will I take your deal? I'm not going to think you're serious. I mean, think about it. If you're a listing agent, if you're an MLS agent and you're not even an investor and you're listening to this, and you saw a for sale by owner that was $30,000 more than the average sales price in the area, and you knew it because you sold something just down the way, how serious do you feel that seller is? Not serious at all. And as a matter of fact, you probably won't even call them because there's, what's the sense? It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's not even worth my time. People's time has value, and you ignore the value when you send useless emails on properties that do not sell. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much for listening to this. I want you to take away a couple things. First, I want you to improve your service. All right? I want you to improve your profitability here, okay? Because you're not doing this to save the whales, all right? And I want you to look like a frickin' G when you do it. Guys, listen, be responsive, learn the market, and generate enough leads so you can say no and not take everything. Guys, I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, please do me a favor, share it on your social media. Let somebody else know. And as always, if you've got a referral to somebody here in the Tucson market, think of your boy first. I'd love to help them. As always, have a powerful sales day. Take care.